How we doing, everyone? Welcome to another edition of FSI's NHL DFS preview show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined with McKinley 4112. How we doing today? And are we ready to get over this Philly stink bomb that we just got laid on us tonight? That was just a gross DFS game to watch.
It was pretty gross. I'm happy with it. We cored Nylander, and he had that multi-goal game. We faded Matthews, which actually, he got 2 assists, but he only had 2 shots on goal. So at his salary, he didn't even hit 1.5 times value. So
yeah,
I'd say that's a win in our book. He was like 76% owned. I was a little concerned seeing that, but top line centers at Philadelphia, they've done nothing this year. They've yet to score a goal. So I was kind of banking on that with the research, and it held true.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad that 3-game slate is over. Treated it not like an off night, but just kept my exposure low. And I think that was a good choice here when we have a huge slate for tomorrow coming up. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 slate, 11 games on tap, with Colorado the biggest favorite at -190. Winnipeg -175, St. Louis Blues -170, Seattle -160, and Calgary -140. All right, Colorado versus Vancouver. We are without McKinnon. We'll get to that later. But what are your thoughts on the games? The highest totals and our biggest favorites.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting slate because you have the big stud lines out there. Obviously, there's no McKinnon, but you still got Landeskog and Rantanen in there in Colorado. You got McDavid and Draisaitl in Edmonton, and then you got the Bergeron, Pastrnak, Marchand going on with Boston, and then Ovi's on the slate as well. So a lot of studs. But the more I'm looking at this slate, I don't know how much of those studs I'm going to have. Pricing's interesting. DK is really starting to ramp up on these top studs. They're not afraid to throw out the 9K salary at all.
Yeah. I'm still going to play. We'll talk about it later, but yeah. All right, let's just get into it, because there's things that we're talking about here that I want to get to, I guess. I'm going to kick us off with some GPP Center Targets. Florida's facing off against Pittsburgh. As you saw, they weren't on the biggest favorites page. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that we have one of the hottest lines in hockey right now with Barkov, Verhaeghe, and Duclair. Barkov been an absolute monster lately. Did come back from injury, did not miss a beat. He has 6 goals in his last 5, 4 shots on goal in his last start. So Barkov, I'm not slowing down there in my rostering of them. And that 73 price tag, not too expensive either. Compared to some of the other studs that we'll talk about later. Who's your favorite target here for the cash game centers?
Yeah, so we're going with Anze Kopitar going up against Ottawa. I mentioned in previous videos, Kopitar is kind of like the offensive guy there. He leads the team in goals. He leads the team in assists. He leads the team in shots on goal. He kind of does everything. Now he's going up against Ottawa, who has allowed the 3rd most goals against per game so far. That's just kind of, you mix those two things together, and it's kind of a recipe for him to have a pretty solid game here. There are other studs in this price range. I kind of mentioned them earlier with Edmonton and Boston going through here, but still, I think Kopitar's in a nice spot, all things considered. Going down to the mid-tier, JT Compher, the guy, he's kind of going to be taking over McKinnon's role on that top line. And he's just 5.4K, and he's been doing pretty well. They're going up against Vancouver. They're the biggest money line favorite. I don't think that there's going to be any lack of goals from this Colorado team. And he's been doing well. He's got 5 goals, 4 assists in his 10 games played. So I think he's just going to slide in very well. He's been playing on that top power play unit with these guys already, so the chemistry is there with them. So at 5.4K, top line center for the biggest favorite, I think in the cash terms, it's kind of a no-brainer because he's going to shoot the puck and do everything. But you can pivot off of him and go with a guy like Getzlaf, which is who you like. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, Getzlaf having a renaissance, moment in his career. Older
Yeah,
guy, big veteran on the hockey surface here. Um, Definitely, one of the hotter centers though for his respective team. 6 points or 6 games over the 10-point fantasy mark. He's scoring a lot of assists. He's setting up some of the hottest wingers in Terry and Henrique. Yeah, definitely two guys I like. We have Ottawa facing off, or Ottawa, excuse me, Anaheim facing off against Seattle. Seattle gave up the first win to Arizona, giving up 5 goals. Then they rebound and they give up another 4 to Vegas, a team who it seems like to be regressing from the emotional high of starting their new franchise. I think they're coming back down to earth, and Anaheim's just way too hot. And I think that's what gets Getzlaf in that top line, the points that we're looking for from that mid-tier 5K line stack, and he just leads the way with those setting those helpers up. It's pretty fun to see him come back after a really sour couple of years for Anaheim. My value play is going to be Denault for LA. As you mentioned about Ottawa giving up a lot of those goals in recent games. Denault has been pretty on point. He has 2 goals and 3 assists in his last 4 games. He did have 3 blocks. That's pretty much what got him to value last game. So he can do it in various ways. He's very active center, two-way center. And I think at 3,700, he's going to be, on the ice for quite a while. And I like to see his price tag. And I love the people he's skating with, 2 guys that have been really meshing well with him in the last couple of games. So that is my value. How about you? And what are your thoughts on those targets?
yeah. So we're going with Calgary here with Dylan Dubé. He is super cheap, 2.8K, and he's been shooting the puck a lot more. And he's a guy who has a pretty decent floor for a center at this price range. Like I said, he's shooting more. He's got 14 shots in his past 4 games. He's got 1 goal, 6 assists on the season. And I mentioned his floor. He's got 5 or more DK points in 8 of his 10 games and double-digit DK points in half of those games. So at sub 3K, especially, I feel like in for cash at least, paying down at center gets kind of gross really quickly, especially below that like 3.5 mark. So at 2.8, I honestly don't mind him here. He's getting some power play time. He is on the second power play unit, but still, Calgary, they've been doing pretty well this season offensively. So I think Dubé, if he's able to get on even an assist and a couple of shots, he's definitely going to be paying off his price at 2.8.
Yeah, he skates with Mangiapane too, who's pretty good out there on the wing. They connected for a couple of goals and assists, and yeah, they have that upside too with that solid floor. Good call. All right, we're switching over to the winger position here. Probably not going to be much of a surprise. I love Ovechkin 9,300. I mean, the kind of tear this guy's on, 22 fantasy points. He averages 22 fantasy points per game. I mean, that is just nuts. I mean, you're going to have to certainly pay for it. I don't mind playing Ovi alone because, if he doesn't get there with the goals, he gets there with shots. He's going to need quite a few of them to pay off that $9,300 price tag. But incentives all around this game. If Ovi scores, he moves into 4th on the all-time scoring list. So, I mean, it's in Detroit. If he passes 4th, I think he passes Brett Hall. Brett Hall from Detroit. So, yeah, there's just a lot going on there for Ovechkin. So I could see 2 goals. I could see a goal for sure. 11 on the year, 10 assists. He's a team first guy, but for some reason I feel like tomorrow's going to be all about Ovechkin, and he's going to be in a ton of lineups for me. And I like Taylor Hall as well. There's a little bit of a revenge narrative here for Edmonton coming into Boston. I believe this was the team he was drafted by and then traded to Buffalo. I'm getting that right? He wasn't drafted by Buffalo and traded to Edmonton.
He was not drafted by Buffalo. Yeah, he was
Right.
an Edmonton guy.
Right. So there's that little narrative. But realistically, what I like about Taylor Hall is he's 5K, skates on the top power play. He's, in with a Boston team that's getting hot at the right time. He has a lot of good rapport with Coy and Smith. And Edmonton, we know, is a one-line team. And Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak going to be playing a lot of defense versus that top line. I think the offensive line in this game is going to be that Coyle, Hall, and Smith line. I think they're going to try to push the offense through the second line while they're playing defense and line matching with McDavid and Bergeron. So that's my theory on the game. So I think that opens up Boston 2 as a good line, starting with Hall. What are your thoughts on those two GPP targets at the winger position, and who are your favorite cash targets?
Yeah, I mean, Ovechkin's on a mission. I hope he passes Brett Hall. As a Sabres fan, I'm still mad at Brett Hall 22 years later, but we'll get over eventually. And yeah, Taylor Hall, not a Buffalo Sabres draftee. He never played in front of fans in Buffalo. He was here because he showed up during COVID, and then he left during COVID and never got to see a single fan in the stands in Buffalo. Not that there really would have been based on how the team's performing. But enough about that. We'll just get into the cash targets here. Gabriel Landeskog, we've been talking about Colorado 1 already. They're going to be missing McKinnon. But Landeskog, he's already played a game without McKinnon this year, earlier on the season when he was out with COVID, I believe. And in that game, he still got a goal, still got an assist, still put up 20 DraftKings points. So he's able to produce even without McKinnon there. And they got a favorable matchup. So he shoots the puck a ton. He's still skating with Rantanen. He's still skating with Comfort, who he knows from the power play units and everything. So I think he's fine at this price. And then Terry for Anaheim. This guy is just, he's unreal right now. He's on a 9-game point streak. 9-game point streak, 9 goals, 7 assists in his 13 games played. He's got double-digit DK points in 9 of his 10 games. And now he's going up against Seattle. He plays on the top power play unit. We've been talking, or you talked earlier, like Seattle, the high is kind of faded away, and now they're sliding down the standings as the season progresses. So I think Terry's going to be in a fine spot to continue his run. And even if he doesn't score a goal, I mean, again, 5.6, he's going to give you enough of a floor to kind of be fine. But he's definitely got that upside with him. And then super cheap here, I'll just round it out. Buchnevich. I played him in the last video, if you guys remember, and he did really well. He got a goal and an assist for us at sub 4K. So he's skating on that second power play unit in St. Louis. They're facing Nashville. Nashville's going tonight. They're going to be on a back-to-back. But Buchnevich, he's seeing an increased role with this team, but his salary on DK has gone down, even though he's been producing. He's shooting the puck a whole lot more. He's getting like 4 more shots on goal a game recently. And like I said, he got a goal and assist last game. So hopefully he can continue that mojo onto the next game here.
Yeah. Nashville currently, as we're recording, just gave up 2 goals in the third. I'm of the impression that if you're winning by 3 in NHL, you're realistically heading to overtime. That's just the natural way of things in NHL when it comes to being up 3 on the road. You're just destined for that overtime. So I could see Dallas poking in a third goal, and we could get that Nashville team going from Dallas to St. Louis in a back-to-back. That could be a good spot tomorrow for St. Louis. Tarasenko, always keep your thoughts in, on him as you target St. Louis. But I'm going to finish out my GPP targets with my value play, maybe plays, because I was torn on what I wanted to do at in my final spot here. But I'll go with Blake Wheeler. He's going to be skating with Scheifele on the third line. There is a lot of injuries going on with Winnipeg, so there could be some line shuffling. We could see Scheifele, Wheeler back on that top line with Connor. That's what I'm kind of hoping happens tomorrow when we get, rushes and lineups coming out with how things have gone with Stastny getting hurt, and now Ehlers is questionable. So there's just a lot going on. We don't know exactly where these guys are going to unfold, or what's going to unfold for their lines. But traditionally, Scheifele and Wheeler were top lines for Winnipeg over the years. And to get him at 4K coming off of 5 shots on goal in his last game, it just makes me feel like, okay, there's some comeback here for Winnipeg. The Jets, are a huge favorite tomorrow, going up against the San Jose Sharks, minus 180 favorite. San Jose had some COVID stuff, but right now it's realistically just Timo Miner being out. And they have a little bit of form, but I like Winnipeg at home, and I hope Wheeler and Scheifele get that top line with Connor again, and that would look really fun to have 2 value plays with a nice 7K play. You could fit Ovechkin, and it just molds well to have that all unfold. We'll see. And quick shout out to Kempe, 4,100 skating with Kopitar on the top line for LA with Arvidsson out, and he's skating with Dustin Brown too. I like that. I loved that play too, and I was torn between Kempe and Wheeler. All right, moving on to defenders. I'm going to keep riding with my guy here, Pietrangelo, 7,100. I've been playing him literally every day. 3 goals and 3 assists in his last 4 games. He's had 3 shots and 3 blocks in his last 3 games. Just been a fantasy point monster for Vegas. He's really taken on the load here for this team with all the injuries that they have. They haven't slowed down. They've been winning games left and right. I think a lot of it has to do with Pietrangelo, the defense, and the goaltending with Leonard. And I think 7,100, not expensive enough. I think he should be one of the more expensive plays on the slate. And I love that play from the defender position. I'm paying up at defense. What does that tell you about the slate?
It must be a wonky slate, that's for sure. You never pay up for D.
No.
Yeah,
Tell us about your targets,
cash, I love Pietrangelo as well. I think I covered him in the last video, or I mentioned him in the last video, just how he's like that total package kind of DFS player. He can get you that shot bonus, the shot block bonus. He can get you the point bonus, goals, assists. He does it all. So I love Pietrangelo there.
Yeah.
But you can go a little cheaper, 400 cheaper, down to John Carlson. You compare him with Ovechkin. There you go. I sold you on that one. But he had a real rough start to the year, and he kind of saw his salary just like plummet. I think he even hit like the 5K range at one point. But he's been a machine lately. He's got a great point streak going on. He's getting 3, 4, sometimes 5 shots a game. He's getting block shot bonus as well. So he's kind of like Pietrangelo, maybe not to his level, but he's kind of like right there. And they're, like you said, they're going up against Detroit. Detroit, I'm not convinced they're as good as the record states, even though the record's not even that great. But I think Carlson is going to be in for a nice spot here. Down to the mid tier, we're going to go with Brodin. There are so many, I don't know about you, but like there are so many Minnesota defensemen that I just want to put into my lineup with Dumba and Spurgeon and Brodin. Like the list just keeps going on. But Brodin at 4.4K, I don't mind him here at this price. He's going to get you like 23, 24, 25 minutes of ice time. And he's got like a pretty solid floor. So I don't mind him at 4.4K here. He doesn't get power play time, which is kind of a downfall. But still, with the floor that he is providing on this Minnesota team, and we've mentioned Vegas, they are kind of hampered by injuries here. They're letting up a lot of shots. They're letting up quite a few goals. So all it takes is 1 goal or 1 assist with his shot floor and his block shot floor to really pay off that salary. But you're going with Neil Pionk. Tell us a little bit about him.
As I was talking about Winnipeg, going back to the wall here with the defender, Neil Pionk. Guy's going to get a little bit of power play time. He's scored 2 in his last 3 games. Winnipeg, team that likes to play, on the attack. I think Pionk is a guy that when he has big games, he has massive games. He gets assists, he gets, shots on goal, he gets a couple of blocks. He has those big games. And realistically, what we're trying to do here for GPPs is we're trying to spike those cheap plays or the mid-tier plays and get those big upside games. That's what Pionk can do. He's not a consistent fantasy point scorer for 5K, but he has the upside that we're really looking for when it comes to winning GPPs, winning slates. And if you're stacking Winnipeg, I suggest taking a look at Pionk as well. My value play is going to be Oliver Keelington for Calgary. He's, pending injury, I believe, to Noah Hannafin. If he is out, I think Keelington is going to get that front pairing with what's his name, Rasmussen, and he's going to get that top defense pairing, and that's what I saw last game. He is 3K. He's got a goal and 6 assists, and all of that's come in the last 7 games. This guy's really coming into his own. I play him every slate. I like playing Pietrangelo and Keelington together. I just go 10K right at defender, and then figure out the rest. And I think that's a pretty solid strategy in GPPs. If this guy gets, maybe a point, maybe a bonus, it's what we're really looking for at just 3K. All right, finish this off here with your favorite defenders, and we'll finish it out with lines.
All right, Braden McNabb, 2.6K. This is probably my favorite value on the entire slate. So McNabb for Vegas going up against Minnesota, he's there to block shots. They have Alec Martinez, but still McNabb can definitely hit that shot on or block shot bonus. He's got the block shot bonus in over half of his games so far this season. And they're going up against Minnesota, a Minnesota team that actually leads the NHL in shots per game. So he's going to be put up to the task of blocking the team that shoots the most. Yep. I think there's a very, very good chance he hits the block shot bonus. And if he does that, there's 8 DK points right there. So at 2.6K, that's already over 3 times his value in terms of his salary. And if you're hitting, I kind of strive for at least like 2.5 in cash, just because if you think about it, you take your salary, like how much salary DK gives you, multiply by 2.5, you're going to be around 125, and you're going to be cashing very easily with that. So if this guy can get a block shot bonus, which I think there's a greater than 50% chance, love him. I think he's definitely. I don't want to lock him into my lines. We're still 24 hours away from that slate locking, but still pretty good chance that he's going to be in there just because of the salary savings and how many studs are on this slate.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to need plays like that, like him and Keelington to round it out in our lineups. All right. Favorite line stacks. I'm going GBP. I'm going with Iafalu Denault and Ethan Sayu, former Detroit Red Wing, going up against Ottawa. This line is going up against Ottawa, a team that's been leaking goals, as you mentioned before. Iafalu, pretty fast skater. I like this line, GPP. It's really cheap. That's why I'm suggesting it, because you can fit so much with this line. I love, the upside that you can get with it. All right. Give us the cash one. I'm sure we're not surprised.
Not surprised. It's Colorado 1. Landeskog Comfort. It's the top favorite, the high over under. Landeskog, and like as a group, they're fairly cheap because Confer is only coming in at 5.4, 5.6, whatever it is. And like Landeskog and Rantanen are both in the 7K range. So it's not like you have to pay up for any like 9K McDavid or Draisaitl or whoever. So they're affordable. You can pretty much jam them in. And not really think too much about it. I'm definitely going to have at least one of these guys in my cash builds. 100% going to have at least one, if not 2.
All righty. Well, that will wrap things up for favorite line stacks, and that'll wrap things up for our video today. All right, McKinley, well done. Just to give you a heads up, Nashville ended up scoring. It was 4-2 in that final, so no overtime for us. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Please like this video. Comment below with any suggestions, comments, or questions as well. And you can find us on our website, fsidfs.com, on Twitter at FSI_DFS. And follow us, get along in the Discord. You can find that on the website and Twitter handle as well. Follow me at TKNation47. That is McKinley412. All right, guys, have a great evening and enjoy today's slate.